This year's version of Black Nativity was supposed to be a long anticipated milestone. Instead, the 50th anniversary production, like many other holiday performances, will have to be a virtual experience. Produced by the National Center of Afro-American Artists, the song play was scripted by Langston Hughes, drawing a cultural spectrum that ranges from the Black church to the Harlem Renaissance and African drumming. To tell us about this year's performance is the center's executive director, Barry Gaither. Thank you very much for being with us, Barry.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Barry, the last time you and I were talking about Black Nativity was a year ago, and you were looking forward to this year's version, maybe with some elements looking back on what has been done over the years. How has that all changed?
We were really looking forward to a splashy launch with the performance season and to extending that over the year following. And towards that end, we created a committee called the 50th Celebration Committee, and we all started visualizing how this was going to be a great moment. Then comes change. And we had to think about what is possible in the new environment. We were on an edge for a moment as everyone in the theater district was trying to decide whether there would be a season or not. And we were still hoping to do some performances, but in the end, none of that can happen. So we set ourselves to thinking about what was possible, because we couldn't imagine a Christmas season in Boston that we weren't part of. We thought that Black Nativity, over 5 decades, has really woven itself into how we think about the season. And for many families, it is an anchor of the season. So we thought, how can we have a presence that will be exciting and that will also be a bridge to what we hope will be a normal season in 2021. Now, in all of this, we have, for the last several years, partnered with Emerson. We've been producing our live shows at the Paramount Center in the theater district. And fortunately, we had that opportunity this time around. So together, we thought about how to create a virtual event that would be as close to what we want to have happen as possible. So what we've done is we've created a virtual gala, which would correspond to the gala that normally we do just before the commencement of the performance season. The virtual gala has multiple levels of participation, but basically it comes down to a gathering that's partly everyone together and partly in rooms. And we will have members of the cast and I and other supporters who will make appearances over the virtual gala. But at the center of the virtual gala are 2 things. One is we will premiere a video that we have created, the title of which is Black Nativity, 50 Years of Triumph and Transition. This video is basically documentary in format. It also has embedded within it a quite stellar group of interviews with key figures over that long history of Black Nativity. So that will be a premiere, really a world premiere, that will be available online anywhere. So that will give us a much greater outreach than our normal gala in a closed space could provide. We will also reformat the auction which is typically part of the gala, to an online auction. And all of this has presented a steep learning curve for us. I'm of the generation that grew up when typewriters still existed. So all of the adolescents who've mastered every digital technique are my teachers. I'm still learning how to think in that. But fortunately, our relationship with Emerson and the fact that we've been able to bump up our own internal committees so that we are able to tap a lot of talent with some experience in how to do the digital things. And that is how we're able to recreate this virtual reception. I think it will be very exciting for everyone who can participate. And you can find out about it at blacknativity50.org. And so if you go to that site, it has how to get tickets, how to take part, and it also has schedules for the events, which are basically all happening on December 18th.
You've talked before about the cultural spectrum behind Black Nativity. The original version as it premiered in 1961,
Yes.
but what about the spectrum here in Boston? What's the most interesting part of that story for you?
I think the most interesting part of the story is how, with local talent and a local cast, we have been able to shape a tradition that attracts thousands of participants every year over time. How we've been able to do that without relying on celebrities from somewhere else, but instead making Black Nativity something that we really give from our own community in Greater Boston. So in that sense, we own Black Nativity. We inhabit it as something which has been made an expression of our own local vitality, creativity, and vision. So I think it has been enormous work to mold all of that into a durable and long tradition. It has also been a platform from which many young careers have been launched. Some of those in the arts. We have people who are in our cast in performance all across the country, here, there, and everywhere else, but also many who've gone into business and other lines of work, because the center has always thought of its role as making better, more wholesome, more creative people. Not simply artists, but certainly assisting artists, but also helping people to see that we are, as a community, an enterprise to which we all can bring something. And events like Black Nativity are opportunities to forge vehicles for our richer human realization. So I like to think of Black Nativity in this broad frame. And this broad frame helps to say why it is that we have some families that have been in Black Nativity from the beginning. We still have a couple of performers who have been in every season. And at the same time, each season has introduced new people and presented new opportunities to youngsters. So there is both this continuity and this opportunity for visionary expansion that has been the fuel to give energy to Black Nativity.
In its origin, Black Nativity was a new platform for embracing and celebrating cultural heritage, but also with an eye to the outside and toward the future. What do you see looking to the future right now, or even at the present moment?
Well, at the present moment, we want to affirm joy despite the virus. You know, the human spirit is inexhaustible. The human imagination is without limit. And every people experience ordeals. And we as a nation are in the middle of an ordeal. And in it, we need to wake up each day and fortify ourselves to go forward, because the future is always in front of you. So we want Black Nativity to contribute to the joy and resolve which we bring each day to living. That's a broad mission that sounds a little philosophical, but at the practical level, it's the joy of music, the joy of sharing even one step removed, which are the possibilities for our present moment. So I see that as part of what we're trying to bring to the present season in creating this virtual event. We're trying to foster and increase joy, and trying to make an opportunity to get together in spite of the barriers that keep us physically apart. What I see for the future is, I think this is a moment of transition. And that moment of transition requires that we try and understand what has been the mission up to now, and to think about what is the future going to demand of us. Certainly one of the things it's going to demand of us is that we move towards a greater healing of our nation, especially along racial and class lines. And there is an important role for culture in that healing. Culture, after all, is based on empathy. It's based on the fact that we share some experiences. Black Nativity is built around a story of refugees and struggling family looking for a place to be born and to enter into the world. We still look at the news every day and see the same kinds of struggles played out in real time. So we still need to be affirmative in how we go forward and how we span these differences.
Well, in the near term going forward, Barry, this is a virtual performance, but people have to know something about when and where to find it. So can you help us with that?
Yes, my very best recommendation is that they go to blacknativity50.org. That site has all of the information that is needed, the schedules, fees, all of the participation. The ticket transactions are actually being managed through Emerson, but from the site I've just given, you can get to the right buttons to click, and then you'll be off and running.
Well, thank you once again for coming to join us and spending the time. For Black Nativity, Barry
Thank you
Gaither.
very much. I really am grateful for this opportunity to make known that we're offering this new format and to invite everyone to come and participate.
Again, thank you very much, Barry Gaither for Black Nativity. We'll have more news in just a moment.